Hey everybody, this is Janet and Janet's Planet Music Lessons for Humanoids. And I'm very, very excited to invite my friend Abby Rischin, who is the founder of Step Into Art. And because I think it's a really cool program, and I thought you guys might be really interested to learn all about it. So, welcome, Abby.
Thanks, Janet. Wow, what a great honor to be here with you.
Well, awesome. Well, I thought it'd be really nice to just start with what Step Into Art is.
Sure. Yeah. Well, Step Into Art is a nonprofit art education organization, and we offer programs for kids in partnership with Boston schools, teaching kids about art from Boston area museums and teaching kids about work by contemporary artists.
Wow, wow, that's so cool. So when you connect with a school, um, what are some of the ways that you help the students connect with various work and different museums?
Aw, I love that question. Well, so we currently have 7 partnership programs with Boston schools. 6 of them are with Boston Public Schools for third graders, and one of them is a unique sixth grade partnership program with a school in Boston called Mother Caroline Academy, which is a tuition-free school um, for girls from underrepresented um, Boston communities. And what we do, especially with our third graders, is um, we've created this model um, that extends from the classroom to the museum and back again as kind of a bridge between schools and museums. Um,
Hmm.
and we actively engage kids with art in all sorts of fun ways, including self-portrait making and poetry writing. But we always start in the classroom and we do this wonderful workshop where kids see, view with us works that they're preview with us, works they're going to see in the museum. So that they have that wonderful feeling of the excitement of recognition. They see something and they can say, "Oh, there it is. I know that," ahead of time.
Oh,
Um, and in the classroom, they not only look carefully, they pose like works of art that they see, they act them out, they listen to music and dance with particular works of art. So they build all these connections ahead of time. And then when they see the work in the museum with their class, it's super exciting. And they get to sketch in the galleries. And we have tactile materials, things the kids get to touch that look like they've come right out of a work of art, velvet or brocade or, something directly related to what they see. And they make lots of new discoveries. And then after the museum visit, they create self-portraits inspired by a particular artist whose work they've learned about. And with some of our schools, the kids also write really wonderful, expressive poetry. So they we describe the program as multisensory and multimodal, and we really try to reach students who learn in all different ways.
oh, that sounds like such a blast. And then it sounds like the students have a chance to really kind of make friends with the art, you know, like and experiencing it in all these different ways. It's like, oh, this is my old friend, you know.
Janet, that is, you captured it. I have said that we love this sort of ritual return to works of art so that you come to really know them well and connect with them. And exactly that, they feel like old friends.
Right.
Exactly.
Wait, because it takes, because I think traditionally, I know, if I think about a museum, it's easy to think about it as this sort of cold, stuffy place that, only, a certain type of people go to. There's
Right.
these certain special people way, way over there that has nothing to do with me, and they
Right.
do that, you know?
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden it's like, oh no, this is like really for everybody.
Yeah, and I think that museums really want to attract a broader audience, and there's a lot of discussion of belonging, of how do you create belonging, that
Mm.
sense of belonging. And what we've seen is you create belonging by creating these experiences of connection that really meet the kids where they are and speak to them and that are fun and exciting. And I know you and I have talked about community building before, but there's something really beautiful about a shared experience with your classmates.
I was just going to say, like, it really, I would imagine that it really brings the classes closer together to each other.
Mm, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
because they're just sharing this sense of wonder and awe and discovery. And then they get to bring it back to their classroom afterward when they do these activities where they are creative. And kids even say things like they say the sweetest things to each other. Like I remember this one girl saying to her friend, "Your portrait belongs in a museum." They come up or that looks just like you, or.
Yeah, yeah. And I think very often, I know this is true with my students, especially the adults I teach, that when I give them feedback, when I say something kind about the work they're doing, very often, as one of my students said to me, she's like, Janet, it's kind of like when your mother says you're pretty and you're like, Ma, you have to say that because you're my mother, And so one of the things I do, I have these weekend retreats with my private students each year where they have a chance to interact with each other and learn to play music together.
Oh,
And then they
wow.
end up complimenting each other because they believe each other. They don't, when I say something, they're like, oh
Oh,
yeah, she's just being
oh.
nice. But when they say it to each other, it means so much more, you know.
Yeah, that really resonates with me. Like one of my favorite moments is when there's time to share at the end and kids go up and say something about their portrait, what they're proud of, what was hard.
Mm.
And then they get to call on classmates to make a comment. And
Yeah.
And then the kids just say really wonderful things like I don't know, like I like how you did your smile, or I like that feather and all the sparkles in your hat, or just something that's just so sweet and authentic that makes them feel great about what they did.
So cool. And one of the things, because for those people who are watching the interview, I had the absolute honor of attending the end of year presentation with the Mother Caroline. Is that the name of the school?
Yes,
Mother Caroline
exactly.
students. And first of all, I was blown away by their work. I mean, each portrait was so special,
Oh,
and also these beautiful missives they wrote to go along
yes,
with it. It was just because this is like middle school girls, right?
right.
So like just insightful, but I felt like in creating an image of themselves, it just felt like there was something really not just grounding but empowering about it as well.
Oh,
Of
yes.
like, oh,
Oh,
this is, I'm going to present this is a picture of me. Let me show you how beautiful I am, how, beautiful, fierce, feisty, sassy, smart, whatever,
oh,
like all of those things. And there's all sorts of different energies that came through with each portrait that I was so moved by. Like I felt like you're really tapping into, you know, each girl's superpowers.
well, what a beautiful reflection, Janet. I'm so moved hearing your response to that exhibition. We've been doing these exhibitions at the Harvard Graduate School of Education since oh man, maybe 2007 or 2008.
Wow.
Um, and in the last few years, our program with Mother Caroline focuses on this contemporary Black artist, Geo Swaby, who also um, meets with the girls virtually in her studio. And so the self-portraits they create are inspired by these magnificent textile portraits that she's done of herself and her sisters and her friends. And it's, I mean, every year since the very beginning, what the Mother Caroline students have done has been so meaningful, but it's been beautiful to see this recent evolution in our work together and seeing the kind of portraits they create now. It's like through this very involved process that they work on these all year long. And especially at that age when, 11 and 12-year-olds who
Yeah.
can be like so self-conscious and are just really thinking about who they are, to create something that celebrates like personal style and a pose that says something about who they are and what they want to communicate to the world. It's really empowering. And then I just love seeing the girls and their families show up and see the work on the walls in that gallery and
Yeah.
just feel so just celebrated, at which they absolutely should be, but it's beautiful to
Absolutely. And
witness.
to be able to celebrate not just with each other, but also their families, like really show it off to their families. Like, how great is that? And then inspire, because they were there with, there were younger siblings there.
Yeah.
So it's like, ooh, I want to do that too, like, right? Because, you always, I don't know, I'm the youngest in my family, so I always wanted to do what my big sisters were doing, right?
Yes. And we love tradition. Like we're all about tradition. And um we've been doing, I founded Step Into Art in 2005. So this is our 21st year. So with Mother Caroline and with other partner schools we've worked with, like for example, the Murphy School, which you and I have talked about, where
Yeah.
we've offered Step Into Art since 2009. We have like families where every kid has done the program,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it just feels really good.
That's wonderful. Well, since we're talking about history, it seems like a great time to talk about what inspired you to start a Step Into Art anyway. Like, what was the original, like, oh, wouldn't it be cool too, moment for you?
I love that question, and I try to think about how far back to go in answering it. But um, at this point in my life, like I like thinking about like the thread, what's the narrative, and I actually I did a PhD in comparative literature years ago, and I wrote about literary responses to works of visual art, how moments where characters contemplate works of art in novels and poets write about art, and this whole relationship between the viewer and the work of art and the imagination, really.
Mm-hmm.
And from the time that I was very young, I loved working with children. And when I finished my doctoral dissertation, I didn't really want to go into academia in a conventional way. And I tried out working in public programs at the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum and had a chance to test the waters there a little bit. And then later, when my older daughter was 6 years old and her class was planning a trip to the Museum of Fine Arts, I thought, like, wouldn't it be great to create an experience for those 6-year-olds where they meet the works of art and kind of befriend them
Yeah.
before they go on this museum visit? Wouldn't that be great? And so I offered to do this for one class of first graders and ended up doing it for all three classes, and then seeing and then accompanying them on the field trip. And it was so magical. And I thought after that, I think we could really do something special with this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so the impetus goes back to that very personal kind of story. And then from that, I approached the director of cultural affairs in Newton at the time, a woman named Linda Plout, who was quite a visionary, and who gave me the chance to launch Step into Art programs in Newton during like school vacations and weekends. But I really wanted to be in the schools. And I grew up in San Francisco during the busing era. I went to the San Francisco public schools. And I really wanted to bring Step into Art to Boston kids. And so gradually I I was able to make that happen. And I'd be happy to tell you more about that. But that's the sort of general um, idea of sort of starting in the classroom, bringing kids to the museum, and then feeling like all that hands-on work really cements, in some ways, cements relationships with works of art or
Yeah.
reinforces them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I, you know, one of the things, the whole evolution of step into art is a work of art itself, really, because
Aw.
that's how art comes to be, right? It's like, oh, I'll try a little bit of this, I'll try a little bit of that, I'll do this, I'll try that, and oh, this really works, oh, that not so much, and it's all like, whether you're painting a painting or, in my world, putting together a recording, the writing of the song, the recording of the song, it's like, oh, maybe I should add this kind of a part, and then I'd add it, and then I go, no, not so much, you know, or I add it and I go, oh, yes, perfect, or whatever. And like, and then as part of that evolution, like in terms of finding out what works and what doesn't and all, and what really brings your vision to fruition, then, bringing it to students who wouldn't necessarily have access.
Exactly.
And that's like,
Exactly.
because I taught music in several different Catholic schools in Boston for a whole bunch of years. And, you know, as is usual, I was often like the music teacher, and there was very
Mm.
often not an art teacher. Um, so it's like I'm the arts program, in some of the schools, right? Um, and so it's like, well, how do I, you know, create a program that's, creates access to things that they wouldn't necessarily have access to,
Yeah.
and then, connect, help kids connect, certain kids were much more interested in music and theater things. And it's like, well, how do I connect you with programs that, are accessible to you? And it just, because I think about one of the things I think about when it comes to exposing and having kids experience any sort of art, including visual art, is who will be the artists of the future, and who will be the arts patrons of the future.
Yes. Yes.
It's like, who's going to buy tickets for symphony, and who's going to become members of the MFA, and who's going to, well, you were saying that the museum, that there's the idea about like, how do we become a place where lots of different people from different types of backgrounds feel inspired to come here, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Who will be the audience of the future and who will be the artists of the future?
absolutely.
And how can you imagine yourself as either one if you don't have the chance to ever see what that might feel like?
Exactly, exactly. And I mean, it's so much of why I do what I do, as like, you know, I talk about this with people all the time, because when people find out I'm a music teacher, adults, very often I hear people say, "Oh, I've always wanted to play the guitar, but I just don't have any talent."
Mm,
And what I know, because I've been teaching music since the 80s, is the only thing that has to be true is that you feel like it.
hmm.
And then you just have to find a teacher that works for you. Here's the advice I always give people. It's like, take a tryout lesson, and if you feel during the lesson, if you feel like a moron, it's the wrong teacher.
Yes. Right?
And if you feel like, oh, it'll take some work, but this is possible, and boy, this is fun, that's the right teacher.
Yeah. I
You know?
think that's absolutely. Like that culture of encouragement is and empowerment is so key.
So
And
key.
yeah.
There was this this poster I saw in a music shop in Ireland. It said, "Talent. The more I practice, the luckier I get."
Oh, so true.
And
And
it's so true.
it also it just feeds your soul. And so, there are students whose, creativity just sparkles and shines, and you just feel like, wow, that kid is going to run with this. And you hope that for everyone, it just makes them feel uplifted or transported or just expands their world or just makes them also feel a sense of calm that's just so different from the everyday pressures of school. I also wanted to say that, I've been so lucky to work with great people, and I always kind of wanted to involve young people, people imagining their futures as teachers.
Hmm.
And many years ago, and this was at the recommendation actually of an artist, Janet Eckelman. Um, I got involved with the internship program, the field experience program at the Harvard Graduate School of Education. And that's why we ended up with our exhibition every year there. But that connected me with students in what was then called the Arts and Education program who wanted to be, you know, teachers in the arts and museum educators and work in different ways connecting kids with art. And people from that program helped also contributed to help shaping what we do with Step Into Art and have stayed with us over all these years. And so that sense of collaboration and shared creativity has been really wonderful.
Well, it's just it's the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool. So so cool. And just the idea that like well and also just creativity begets creativity. So like,
Mm,
I mean, I see it happen with my students all the time where
mm,
like because they they have this creative outlet in their lives, playing the guitar for example, which is primarily what I teach, you know, that it ends up inspiring other parts of their lives in various ways, including like, and in ways that you might not expect. Like, a lot of my students, the adults, they're very anxious about focusing and concentrating and doing it right. And,
mm.
you know, and then I come along, I'm like, dare to suck, and and which a lot of the exercises and things that I do with my students are an opportunity to like, how can we do this in a way that will make it possible for you to, let yourself go through all the train wrecks that learning involves to get you where you want to go. And so it's created this lovely shift for a bunch of my students where one of them in particular, after she'd been studying with me for a while, she went back to school. She decided to get a master's and become a therapist. And she was saying how, well, this is her second master's, and her first master's experience was so stressful.
Mm.
She's so hard on herself, and it was not a happy experience. She was glad to have the degree and did some work that she felt was meaningful to her afterwards, um but this, because of the shifts that she went through in terms of like, oh, here's some ways that I can be gentle with myself as I learn new things
Mm.
and move through all the normal train wrecks involved in learning something new. it just made her graduate school experience completely different, you know. And it's like, and just based on like her experience with learning guitar. So I feel like, you know, whatever, and just also the idea of the sort of the learning mindset of like we're all capable of learning anything versus only the special people over there get to do this, which is just garbage, you know.
And there's a way, one thing I love about the visual arts about is that you can find something really productive in what seems like a mistake or some kind of creative opportunity in a mistake,
Yeah.
um, or just in the joy of the process itself. But the this artist that who inspired the Mother Caroline girls, Geo Swaby, she actually celebrates imperfection in her textile portraits and leaves loose threads purposely to kind of celebrate process and to celebrate imperfection and incompletion. And I think and self-acceptance. And I think that was so important for the students, that lesson that
Yeah.
imperfection is what makes us human. And that's
Yes.
part of what makes our art beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's if that's something we can take with us from the experience of creating art and take it in other places in our lives, I think that's really powerful.
Yeah. There's something really amazing and I would say even revolutionary about offering a message that completely contradicts what comes toward us culturally every
Yeah,
single day, like all the ways we're told we're not good enough, you know,
yeah,
and you know, you're not going to be good enough until you buy this or do this or whatever.
yeah,
And
yeah,
especially, you know, for like middle school girls. And you know, I mean, when you get to be that, I don't know about you, Abby, but when I was that age, you know, I felt like space aliens had taken over my body and you know, that my mother should probably check the basement for pods, you know, and you know, because you know, I just remember that feeling of like, oh my God, I was kind of pissed. Like, I didn't care about that 3 weeks ago. Like, literally, like 3 or 4 weeks ago, I did not care about that. And why do I care about it now? Like, what is going on? You know,
yeah,
and in that, and you care so much more about what other people think of you and all this stuff. So to be celebrating, like you said, you know, the imperfection is part of being human. You know.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely. And even for little kids, who struggle and want to get things just right, letting them know that that's not really what it's all about. There's always someone who's not ready to accept that message, you know. Um,
Absolutely.
but if they can hear it maybe, over time, it's something that will sink in. And I've seen kids just go through, even in a short time, in the process of creating a portrait, a discovery that they did not expect to make, that grew out of something they did not intend, and then being extra proud when they come out on the other side of that.
That's so so cool, and we talk about an incredible direct experience with you know, not only is the train wreck cool and part of the process, but actually the end result is like even better than what you thought it might be. You know, like
Right.
how awesome is
Yeah.
that? You know.
And it means more to you because it was sometimes it means more to you when it was hard because it was hard because you struggled a bit, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and yeah, that's so cool. So, so cool. So, if somebody wants to find out more about Step Into Art, how would they find out more about what you do and to get, I mean, if
Oh,
they were interested in getting connected to the program in some way?
yeah, they can just email me, Abby at stepintoart.org
Yeah,
or
and I'll
in
I'll put the info in the text below.
yeah,
So,
yeah, that would be wonderful. And um I also just want to say how much we love our partner teachers and what great work they are doing every single day. And we're just in awe of what they do. And we love Um, we love being welcomed into their world and getting to go out into the larger world with the kids. So,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it sounds like just structurally, like, I would think that, well, I know having taught music, general music, general non-elective music, because you're connecting with teachers who are teaching non-elective art,
yep.
and so, you're teaching, it's not that the kids are, oh, I'm signed up to do this. It's like, oh, it's time for art class, right? And so what a gift to the teacher to be
Aw,
able to go on the journey with you, and have you be in partnership with them, you know,
thanks, Janet.
in
It's
creating
such
it.
a gift to get to talk about this with you,
Oh,
truly. It just makes me so happy.
oh my gosh, me too. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. And I know that the folks watching this interview are going to be really happy to learn about what you're doing.
Thanks, Janet. Wow, this was great.
Yeah, really awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you too.